Chapter 8. It's Ryker who finds me curled up into a ball at the edge of a field. I ran until my aching body refused to let me continue. I let myself collapse in the field, knowing that I'd be alone here, able to think. The sharp stalks pricking my skin echo what's going on in my mind. Pain, betrayal, confusion. I thought my mother was dead. Otherwise, why would she have left me with the pack? I wasn't stolen away like most of the other children. I was brought to the pack, handed to them like a present. I knew my father was dead. I dimly remember him dying. My mother was sick, weak, and I always thought she'd given me to the pack because she knew that she was dying, that she wasn't going to be able to look after me, that it was the only way for her to know that I'd survive. That's what I told myself all my life, that she couldn't have returned for me, that she'd died. It's how I got through living with the pack, knowing that it had been my mother's last act to bring me there, that she probably hadn't known how bad it was there. Better with the pack than ending up on the streets. I'd never have survived there as a toddler. I don't know how old I was exactly when she left me, but I can't have been older than 3 or 4. Old enough to have fragments of memories, too young to make it on my own on the streets. But even worse than the sense of betrayal is my confusion over why my mother would have been at the chocolate factory. Why kill 2 cats? Why kidnap kittens? It didn't make any sense. I thought it might have been humans who wanted the kittens for experimentation or some other evil scheme, or maybe even pack shifters. But not my mother. Not a cat shifter. Ryker lies down by my side, his fur touching mine. He doesn't speak, doesn't move, just lies there, giving me the comfort of his company. I'm glad he doesn't talk to me. I wouldn't know what to say. I feel like a traitor. Maybe he thinks that I intentionally didn't identify the scent. But then, no. He wouldn't be here if he mistrusted me. He's not come to blame me. He's come to help. I kind of want to cry, but it's not something I do. Catriona Feln doesn't cry. Maybe I would if I'd been raised by my mother rather than the pack. In the pack, every weakness is exploited, so I quickly learned never to show my emotions. Until they'd died off, locked away. Tears can be death in places like the pack. Night falls, and I'm starting to get cold. I have a thick fur, but lying in the same position without moving for hours hasn't been a good idea. I'm stiff and sore. I might be able to shift again soon, but I better do that at home so I can fall into my hammock and sleep for a long, long time. Do you want to go home? Ryker asks softly, almost as if he's afraid to break the silence. Not really, I mutter, my voice hoarse. But I think it's time. Want to talk? I don't. But then my mouth opens and words tumble out, without me in control. Damn my brain. I didn't know it was my mother. I swear I didn't recognize her scent. She abandoned me when I was a child. Abandoned. There it is. Until now, I've convinced myself that it was for my own good, that she left me to save me. Now, I know that it's not true. She abandoned me. She could have come back, saved me from my life in the pack. But she didn't. She left me to a life of pain, slavery, and abuse. What mother would do that? She's not my mother, I say harshly. She may have borne me, but I don't accept that she's my mother. The mother I remember wouldn't kill. She wouldn't kidnap innocent babies. She wouldn't have left me. Fuck. My eyes itch. No, I'm not going to cry. Remember your training, Cat. Tears are death. Tears are weakness. Don't let Ryker see you like that. He needs to respect you. You're not a weak female who needs to be comforted. You're stronger than him. Stronger than all of them. I managed to swallow back the tears, and my eyes stopped itching. Good. That's progress. I get up and shake my body, trying to get rid of some of the stiffness. Let's go home, I say with a sigh, and start running. Ryker follows me all the way back. I'm not sure why he's doing that. Shouldn't he be out there looking for his son? Instead, he's with me, watching me mope. What a waste of time. And yet, I'm kind of grateful for his presence. He keeps me grounded, even though he's not doing anything besides being there. I take the route through the backyard, up the bends, and then onto the roof, until I'm in the attic, my little sanctuary. Ryker lands behind me, his soft paws barely making a sound. He's big for a cat, but nowhere near my size. I wonder if one of his parents was a big cat rather than just a domesticated house cat. He looks like he could have a trace of lion blood in him. With a pained groan, I drop to the floor and let the shift take over. I want to be human again. I prefer to sleep on my hammock rather than as a cat on the floor. The pain is worse than anticipated. I scream as my fur is peeled off my body, as my bones crack and break. Pain. So much pain. Whimpers break through my gritted teeth. I don't want to scream. Don't want the others to know how bad it is. But I can't help it. The pain overwhelms me, grips me tight. My body changes agonizingly slow, making me experience every second of it. I should have stayed a cat. Should have known this was a bad idea. I'm only half conscious of what goes on around me. Ryker is still there, watching me, but there are other people too. I want to get up, open my eyes, and make sure they're not a threat. But I don't find the energy to do so. I'm being tortured by my own body, and there's nothing I can do about it but wait until it's over. She's bleeding! Get some bandages! I am? I shouldn't bleed. Sometimes I bite my tongue while shifting, but I doubt they're talking about that, whoever they are. The pain is giving way to thick fog, embracing me and carrying me away from the agony that still slides through my bones. Has this ever happened before? Should we get Linux? No, not Linux. I don't want him to see me like this. I can't move, can't talk. All I can do is scream and whimper. Even though I barely feel any pain anymore, my body is still reacting to it. I wish I could just black out, go to sleep and wake up when it's all over. Sadly, my mind has other plans, keeping me awake, although it's all muddled and not quite real, as if I'm looking at the world through a mirror. We need to stop the blood flow. It's getting worse. Maybe that's why I feel so dreamy. Loss of blood can do that. I can take advantage of that regularly when I want information from people. Take enough blood from them, and they might get woozy enough to spill their secrets. I'm rather glad I can't talk just now. Ugh, she's burning up. We need something cold. Do you have any ice? So many voices. I can't keep them straight in my head. Can't figure out how many people they are. They keep talking, but only a few sentences filter through. Please, someone knock me out. I don't want to be in this state anymore. Just knock me out and be done with it. Being helpless is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And right now, I'm as helpless as I've ever been. I hate it. Even at the pack, even with the collar, I was more in control than I am now. I try to speak, try to tell them to hit me on the head or strangle me or whatever they want, but I can't even open my mouth. The taste of blood slowly registers, making me want to spit it out. But no, my jaws are locked. Am I human yet? Or am I still a cat? Or something in between? The fogginess increases. Please, take me with you. Let me pass out. Let me escape this world. What is she saying? Am I talking? No, I don't think so. She's talking in cat. No, I'm not. It's going to be okay, cat. I'm here. His voice is clear, breaking through the fog. Ryker. I cling to his words, holding on as tight as possible. I need him to stay. He's the only one who understands me. I'll stay. Did I say that out loud? Yes, you did. No, I can't have. I can feel my jaws locked together. There's blood in my mouth. I can't talk. I'm trying to, but it's not working. Cat, you're speaking. A lot. Trust me, you're talking. Yes, there's blood, but your mouth is definitely opening and closing. But it doesn't feel that way. Does that mean I can't trust anything that I think I feel? Is my body betraying me? I whimper. Worst day ever. It will be all right. He repeats. I think your shift is almost over. Hopefully, the bleeding will stop once it's done. Bleeding? Yes. Your entire body is covered in blood. It's like you're stuck in between cat and human. Not quite finished. Your skin is still repairing itself. Ugh, that sounds dreadful. No wonder I'm in agony. It looks very painful. One of the humans is looking for painkillers, I think. They're doing their best to help you. They? I don't understand their voices properly. The only one who feels real is Ryker. That must be because you're not quite human yet, but I'm glad you can talk to me. I was so worried. Worried about me? He should be worried about his son, about the other kittens. It's a waste of time that he's here with me. Others are looking for them, Ryker says gently. They're keeping me updated. Now that we know that we're looking for another cat shifter, it's just a matter of time until we find her. As soon as my cats find a scent, they'll come and fetch me. And you, if you're feeling better by then. So don't worry, I'll stay. His words are like medicine, soothing me, making the pain less. I wonder how he can do that. How he has this sort of power over me. He chuckles softly. Maybe it's because I'm a shifter too. Not that I'm fully used to that thought yet. I haven't even told any of the others. If I don't know how to shift, if I'll stay a cat forever, maybe they don't need to know. He's avoiding the topic. No, I'm not. I have thought about it, but I need more time. How is he responding to all of my thoughts? Because you're talking aloud. It seems you have no filter at all. Other cats would take advantage of that. But he won't. Ryker is a nice cat. Pretty cat. So handsome and sweet and honorable. He chuckles. Let me stop you there. Don't say anything you may regret once you're back to normal. Oh yes, I should be careful. I can't have him know how much I admire him, for how he's helped the other cats, how he's survived without guidance from his parents, how he's managed to get his mane so gorgeous, how— Stop, cat, you're delirious. Are you still in pain? I concentrate on my body. It's hard to do. It's like it's not quite my own. Not anymore. There's still pain, but it's far enough away that it's bearable. but I really want to sleep. Pass out. I might be able to help with that. Ever been smothered by a cat? I shall add it to my list of weird experiences, my anti-bucket list. I steel myself and hope he can hear my thoughts. Do it. Knock me out. Something warm and furry touches my face, but because my body is so far away, I don't feel any pain, any discomfort as he slowly suffocates me. Cat killed by a cat. Ah, the irony. Chapter 9. Don't you dare wake her. She needs her beauty sleep. Quite literally. Have you seen her skin? Wow. Wow. Look, you overgrown furball. You almost killed her last night. The least you could do is let her sleep. Wow. I groan and sit up, looking around the room. I'm not in my hammock, but on the floor, supported by cushions and a blanket. Pity. I love my hammock. It's my favorite part of the day. Swinging gently from side to side, pretending I'm outdoors. Unless I did some killing, then that was my favorite part of the day. Ah, now you've done it. You've woken her up. Beth is sitting by the trapdoor, her legs dangling parallel to the ladder. Ryker is next to her, still meowing. Even though I'm not shifted, it's easy to hear the urgency in his voice. He traipses over to me, rubbing his head against my thigh. I don't remember much of what happened. Lots of pain, my shift going wrong. What happened? I ask Bethany. Ugh, my voice is all hoarse and weak. I need a drink. Milk and honey, or maybe just milk. A whole bowl full. No glass. Humans drink from glasses. She grimaces. You turned into a bloody mess. I'm used to a lot, but even I thought it was disgusting. Please don't do it again. Do what again? Not sure I want to hear, but I hate not having all the information. Your fur disappeared, but your skin disappeared with it. You were a mass of bloody flesh. That's what happened. As I said, disgusting. She shudders visibly. And you were meowing a lot. This cat here meowed back, and at some point he jumped on your face and smothered you. We tried to stop him, but he fought pretty bravely. She points at scratches on her arms. I give Ryker a sharp look. No scratching my friends. They're off limits. He gives me a scorching glare, and I sigh. Okay, you did good. I dimly remember asking you to do it. You asked him to kill you? Beth asks incredulously. Not kill me. Just make me unconscious so I didn't have to feel all that pain. Her gaze softens. I'm glad you're still with us. I wasn't all that sure last night. Never seen anything like it, and neither had Lennox. I perk up. Lennox was here. Ryker growls a little, but I ignore him. This isn't the time for the animosity between cats and wolves. Yeah, he left a couple of hours ago when your skin was mostly grown back. He said he'd be back soon, that there was something he needed to do. Or maybe he's simply avoiding me. I'd do the same. I turn back to Ryker. Any news on Pumpkin and the others? He shakes his furry head, somehow managing to make it look extremely majestic. Definitely lion's blood somewhere in his family. That mane. He meows, and it's almost like I can understand. His intentions are much clearer than I can usually sense from other cats. For them, it's mostly their basic needs like food, warning of danger, happiness. With him, there's so much more hidden in his meow. It must be because he's a shifter. I've never communicated with other cat shifters. Well, I must have as a child, but I can't remember that, so this is a new experience for me. What's he saying? Bethany asks, as if she knows that I can understand. They haven't found the kittens yet, but they found something, and want me to come. Right? Ryker nods, relief shining in his bright blue eyes. He meows again. You can come along too, Beth. I'm not sure if it's just because you might want to, or because they need you. It's kind of hard to understand. Beth snickers. Of course they need me. I'm the best. I laugh, but stop when my ribs start aching. I seem to be mostly healed, but I should still take it easy. No shifting for several days at the very least. That's going to be torture. Maybe Lennox knows more about what happened. Or maybe he knows other shifters who might. I still don't know who he works for exactly. So many questions I want to ask him. So many stories to hear. But after what happened between us, I'm not sure I'm going to get the chance. Sleeping with him was a mistake. A big one. Slowly, I get up, realizing that I'm naked. I don't really care about Bethany seeing me in the nude, but for some reason, I don't like Ryker seeing me like that. Even though he's a cat. But he's also a male, I remind myself. At some point, he will shift into a human man, once we've figured out how to get him to do that. After the Lennox fiasco, I'm going to stay away from men for a while. No temptations, no nakedness, definitely no fucking. Turn around, I snap, glad when Ryker immediately follows my order. Beth giggles but doesn't say anything. Good. I feel my strength returning, and with it, the desire to kill something. Simply because I'm angry at myself. A good assassination always distracts me from my own failures. Reminds me how good I am at the things that really count. I quickly get dressed in my favorite black jumpsuit. I have several of them, and pocket as many knives as I can find in the attic. There are more down in the weapons room, but I probably won't get the chance to kill anyone today. If my mother really is the culprit, then I'm not sure I can kill her. I'd have a very violent word with her, though. Not just for abandoning me, but also for killing cats and kidnapping babies. Ryker meows. Meet us outside. I'm taking the ladder this time. I tell him and turn to Beth. You coming? She nods. This is much more interesting than sitting here waiting for Benjamin to wake up. Did you analyze the blood yet that was stuck to Haru's claws? Yeah, it's in the machine. But it will take a few more hours till it's done. I've already told Benjamin to compare the results with the police database. He was rather happy when I told him he gets to break into their headquarters again. He was wondering whether they've improved their security since he last did it. I sigh. That boy is getting reckless. I'm not going to spend any money on his bail if he gets caught. Bethany laughs. I told him exactly that, but he doesn't care. He's good, though. He'll manage. You've trained him well. There wasn't much training to do. He'd learned most of it himself. I only helped him refine his technique and become a little more soft-footed. Anyway, if that's taken care of, let's go. Ryker doesn't lead us back to the chocolate factory, but in the opposite direction. We're slow since I'm not quite strong enough to run, and because I'm munching a sandwich while we're walking. I was starving, since my body apparently used up all my reserves trying to heal itself. I could eat a dozen mice or so. I groan when I realize what I just thought. My mind is still in cat mode. I hope this isn't a permanent thing. Bethany is whistling cheerily. I'd love to shut her up, but I don't want to spend any energy on arguing with her. It takes us almost half an hour to reach our destination, a row of nondescript terrace houses. Boring. They all look the same. No personality, no character. The only thing that varies is the state of their front gardens. There's only one that's perfectly kept with grass that looks perfectly even. The rest are everything from overgrown by weeds to covered in rubbish. I wouldn't want to live here. What are we doing here? Beth asks. This doesn't look like a cat kidnapper would live here. Ryker meows, but there were too many nuances in his message. Sorry, I don't understand. Something about a sign? Ryker shakes his head and meows again. This time, there's frustration in the sound, annoyance that I don't get what he's trying to tell me. A message? He growls in irritation. If you're annoyed at me not understanding, maybe you should shift and tell me properly. I snap at him, and regret it instantly. His eyes widen, the hurt obvious in their blue depths. I don't say sorry, though. It's a word that's not in my vocabulary. Without another meow, he leads us to a house in the center of the row. If anyone's looking out of their windows, they must think it's two women taking their cat for a walk, not the other way around. But from the way this neighborhood looks, I bet everyone is in an office, staring at boring paperwork all day round. How mundane. There's a narrow gap between two houses, just wide enough for people to drag their bins from the garden to the curb, where rubbish carts come to collect it every couple of days. The garden behind the house is overgrown, and doesn't look like anyone's set foot in it for a while. There's a smell in the air, though. Cats. Ryker leads us to a large but old shed at the back of the garden. Some of the planks are loose, and I bet the roof is leaky. Why are we here? I ask, before remembering that I likely won't get a reply I can understand. This is frustrating. He scratches the shed door, and I open it for him. The inside is dark, but my eyes adjust quickly. Behind garden equipment and spiderwebs is a pile of dirty outdoor cushions, the ones you use on deck chairs. On top of it is a skinny girl, just as covered in dust as the rest of the shed. Reddish hair shines underneath the dirt, the color barely visible. She can't be older than 5 or 6, and is staring at us with wide eyes. She doesn't seem scared, though, just surprised. I did not expect that, Beth mutters from behind me. Ryker, what's going on? I ask quietly, not wanting to scare the girl. She's not giving off the scent of someone who's frightened, but until I know what's happening here, I don't want her to run away because she's scared. There has to be a reason why Ryker led us to the shed. Ryker puts his paw on his nose and pats it. You want me to sniff her? He nods. I step closer to the girl, smiling at her in what I hope looks friendly and unthreatening. I don't think I've gotten any better in pretending to be nice, but maybe working with children in the Kindler case has made me slightly more approachable. Not that I want to be sociable, but sometimes giving the appearance of a charming person can come in handy. She doesn't move, doesn't flinch, just looks at me. I concentrate on my cat senses. They're harder to access. Must be a result of my failed shift last night. Her scent surprises me. No, wrong word. It shocks me. I sniff again and again, breathing in her scent until I can't concentrate on anything else. Ryker meows when he realizes that I got what he's been trying to tell me. What's wrong? Beth asks when I slowly step back, away from the girl. I ignore her and lock eyes with the child. Who are you? She doesn't reply. What's your name? Still no answer. Cat, what's going on? Beth demands. I clench my fists, unsure how to deal with this. She's a shifter, I mutter after a moment's silence. And I think she's my mother's daughter. Chapter 10. I need air. I step out of the shed, maintaining composure until I've walked back to the street, out of sight. I'm unsure of how to react. What do you do when you find out that you might have a sister? Scream? Run? Cry? Laugh hysterically? I think I'm closest to the last one, but now that I'm away from the others, I no longer feel like I want to explode. What I want is time travel. Returning to how everything was a couple of weeks ago, before Mr. Kindler, before it all went to pieces. Why couldn't things have stayed simple? I had such a lovely life. Now, all I have is chaos. A new scent hits my nose, one that I really don't need just now. Go away, I tell Lennox before he even reaches me. He doesn't listen. He walks to my side and stands there, not quite touching me, but close enough that either of us could reach out. It was me who found her, he says quietly. I thought I was tracking the other scent. Your mother's. That's not proven yet, I interrupt him brusquely. It could be someone similar to me, maybe a distant relative. You don't believe that? I grimace. No, I don't. But it's a nice delusion that I'd like to hold on to. Lennox sighs. Trust me, I totally understand. If one of my parents was to turn up, I don't know what I'd do. Kill them, most likely. And to find out that you have a sister, well, it's overwhelming. That's an understatement. I've never ever thought that I might have siblings. I thought my mother was dead, so there wouldn't have been the possibility. But now she's not dead, and I have a sibling, and I have no idea what to believe anymore. I look at him, annoyed by the sympathy in his expression. He's not supposed to pity me. I'm the only one who's allowed that. Self-pity is a skill. What would you do in my shoes? I challenge him. I haven't got the faintest. I'd probably run and hide under the bridge in the hope that it all goes away. My anger disappears. We're so similar. I always thought of him as a brother, back at the pack. Now, he's changed roles, become more than a brother. But already I miss that platonic relationship we had. I'll never be able to look at him again as the boy he once was. I've explored his body from top to bottom, felt him inside me, and turned our relationship upside down into something I can't quite define yet. Not sure if he can either. We're stumbling in the dark. Neither of us experienced enough in relationships to figure it out. For now, avoiding him seems like the best course of action. I wasn't sure at first, but Ryker seemed to think the same thing. He says quietly, bringing us back to the topic I don't want to think about. Her scent is very similar to yours, and now that we know about your mother, figured out what her scent is like, there's a little doubt about who she is. Even if we didn't have her scent, she looks like you did at her age. The same hair, the same eyes. You are, just as skinny. His eyes roam my body. His gaze heatens. Is he thinking of what I look like beneath my leather jumpsuit? Is he remembering the way he touched me? For a moment, I let that memory linger in my mind. It's better than facing the fact that I have a half-sister who's in a random shed around the corner. How did she even end up there? Does she live here? Did my mother abandon her too? How did I never notice? I mutter. If she lives in this town, I must have come across her scent. I've been in this neighborhood many times before. I know every street, every roof in town. How could I have missed it? You didn't recognize the scent at the chocolate factory either, he says reassuringly. It's similar to yours. So, you probably filed it away as one of your own old traces. You had no reason to think that your mother was alive, nor that there's a sibling of yours living here. I mean, this is mind-blowing. Have you spoken to her yet? I shake my head. I needed a moment alone, I admit, grimacing at my own admission of weakness. I'm becoming a person I never wanted to be. Emotional, dependent on other people, weak. I'm even developing a conscience. This is bad. Want me to come with you? His eyes meet mine. There are so many emotions in his gaze, so many unspoken words. I don't think I can handle them just now. No, I need to do this on my own. But stay close. The cats might need you again since we still haven't found my mother. I know he's thinking that my sister might lead us to her. And yes, I'm already making plans for how I might be able to use the girl as bait. She may be my sister by blood, but I don't know her. I don't owe her anything. I won't harm her. I'd never harm a child. But just because we have the same mother doesn't mean that I'm going to be her loving big sister. I take a deep breath and make my way back to the shed. Lennox stays behind, but I can feel his gaze boring into my back. I'm almost relieved when I round a corner and I'm out of his line of vision. Ryker is waiting for me in front of the shed, his body tense. I ignore him and go inside, where Bethany is sitting next to the girl. Neither of them is talking, but there doesn't seem to be any animosity between them. Silently, I take in the child's appearance. Lennox is right. She does look a lot like me. Not just because our hair is the same fiery color, but the way the tip of her nose looks like someone pressed a finger against it, the straight line of her eyebrows, the shade of her eyes. She's like a tiny version of me, just as skinny as I was at her age, too. Back at the pack, the oldest and strongest got to eat first, which meant there rarely was enough left over for us younger kids. It's how we learn to be tough, to fight for our right to survive. I scan her thin figure. No muscles are clinging to her arms, no steel in the way she holds herself. She's not a fighter. She's just not had enough food. Her eyes meet mine, but she doesn't say anything. I'm beginning to wonder if she's mute. Wouldn't a normal child be asking questions? Find out why strangers are coming in her shed, looking at her strangely? How very weird. Who are you? I ask, barely able to hide the bite in my voice. I don't want to scare her, but I'm not comfortable in this situation at all. I almost wish that she'd run away so that I don't have to deal with her. She doesn't reply. Figures. I sigh and crouch down until I'm level with her. I'm Kat. What's your name? She doesn't even blink. Kat, there's something you need to see, Beth says quietly. She puts a hand on the girl's shoulder and gently lifts her scarf. Fuck. I stare at the metal wrapped around my sister's throat. A collar. It's thinner than the one I used to wear, easier to hide underneath clothing, but a collar nonetheless. I'm ready to kill someone. Lennox! I shout, and he appears in the door of the shed only seconds later. He takes in the scene, and his expression turns grave. Do you have the key to open it? I ask him, avoiding his eyes. Do you know how to do it? He shakes his head. I don't. I'm so sorry. I know who might have one, though. Let me see if I can find him. I give him a grateful, tight smile, and he turns and runs off. Hopefully, he'll be able to find a key. If he doesn't, I might be able to go to Mystery Man's daughter and see if she has his belongings still. He opened my collar, so he must have had a key in his possession. The girl isn't reacting at all to the fact that we're all staring at her, and that Beth is still holding up her scarf. It's as if she's not quite aware of her surroundings. I don't think it's the collar's doing, although maybe this one is different from the one I had. Mine was copper, while this one is a gleaming silver color. Back at the pack, there were rumors that there was a new collar they had developed, one that would give them complete control over us, not just over our abilities. I never believed them, though. If they'd managed to invent something like that, they would have already been using it. Now, I doubt myself. I should have believed in their ability to devise even more evil things than the way they'd enslaved us all. We still had minds of our own, tamed, but not completely under their control. If this girl is the result of what they've come up with, I'm going to have to do something about it. This is wrong on so many levels. Lennox has been talking to me about going against the pack, and so has Lily, but I refuse to listen to them. I've tried to stay away from the pack for so long that actually turning direction and confronting them goes against all I've worked towards. I've wanted to stay in the shadows without drawing attention, focusing on my business, on my life, doing what I want to do for the first time ever. I've done that for over half a year now. I guess I should have known that it couldn't last forever. The pack always catches up with you, even if it's not in the way you expected. I reach out and run 2 fingers over the silver collar. It's cold to the touch. Again, different from how my own collar used to feel like. It must be uncomfortable. But the girl doesn't react. I grip my teeth and pinch her shoulder. She doesn't even cry out. She just looks at me, the blankness in her eyes obvious now. They may be the same color as mine, but there is no life in them. She's trapped inside, her mind held hostage by the collar. I try something else. Stand up. Immediately, she does as I say. She sways a little on her thin legs, but I know she won't even notice. Those bastards, Bethany whispers. What have they done to her? Tell me your name, I say firmly, locking eyes with the girl. Before, I asked a question. Now, it's a command. She doesn't respond, though. That must mean that either she can't, or she's been forbidden to talk at all. Do you live here? I ask. Not if it's a yes. She shakes her head. Then why are you... I groan when I realize that it won't work that way. Only using yes and no questions will make this take forever. I have no desire to stay here, especially when we don't know why the girl was here in the first place. Our pack member is going to come for her soon. As much as I would love to get my hands on some pack minions, killing them all very slowly and painfully, I know it's not a good move. We need to prepare and make a plan. Besides, anyone sent here by the pack would be collared themselves. The people in charge, the ones who don't wear collars, rarely leave their headquarters. They let others do the dirty work, while they enjoy the fruits of their slaves' labor. Come with me. I order not unkindly, and leave the shed. She stumbles after me, and I realize that she's barefoot. Her clothes are torn in places, but they're not bad quality. Her feet, however, are dirty and covered in bruises. Poor thing. If I could, I'd carry her. But I still feel my own fatigue wearing me down. My body is still healing itself. Luckily, Griffin is waiting outside. Can you carry her? She looks too frail to make it all the way back to our house. He nods and gently lifts her in his arms, cradling her against his chest. She doesn't lean against him, doesn't give in to the comfort he tries to give her, but stays stiff and unyielding, like she doesn't feel it at all. Again, I want to kill someone, smash something, hurt people. Even if she wasn't my sister, I'd want to avenge what they did to this girl. But since she's my sister, I'm coming for them. Chapter 11. It takes us longer to get back to the house than I would have liked. It's mostly because I'm slow. Griffin could probably run all the way even though he's carrying the little girl, but I feel more and more like I'm about to faint. I'm starting to believe that I'm getting ill. That the whole shifting gone wrong episode wasn't just because I'd shifted too often. Maybe there's some kind of cat shifter bug. Who knows? It's not like my mother stayed around to teach me. Yes, I'm bitter, especially when I look at my little sister. She's half asleep in Griffin's arms, and I almost envy her. She still doesn't look like she has any clue about her surroundings, but she does look more human now that she's so sleepy. I hope the collar will allow her to rest. By the time we get home, I can barely stand. I don't let any of the others notice that, obviously, but putting up a strong facade uses up even more of my limited energy. Let's take her to the living room, I tell Griffin, and let him walk ahead, followed by Ryker and 2 other smaller cats. Bethany is by my side, quiet and lost in thought. I lean against the doorframe and watch as he carefully lays her on one of the sofas, supporting her little head. He's so gentle with the little girl. I'm surprised to see this side of him. It makes him even more intriguing. He's a mystery that I still need to solve. Hell, I don't even know what he is. Usually, I wouldn't let someone close to me who I don't know anything about, but he's proved that he's trustworthy, in the way any assassin can be trusted. Benjamin runs down the stairs, trips, and lands on all 4s in front of my feet. I sigh. And this is supposed to be my master thief? The boy who can get into any building unnoticed, even the heavily guarded police headquarters? Yeah, sure. He grins at me and jumps to his feet. You look tired, he observes. Oh, how I'm tempted to slap him. But good employers don't hit their staff. I'm not going to win Employer of the Year anytime soon, but I don't want any of them to leave. They're too invaluable, even Benjamin. At least you're no longer covered in blood. How are you feeling? I'm taken aback by that question. People don't usually ask me that. My glare shuts them up before they ever get the idea of asking me such a mundane, unnecessary question. I nod towards the girl instead. Meet my sister. His eyes widen. Are you serious? I grimace. As serious as I can be. Half-sister, same mother. Can you get her some food? For all of us, actually. Lots and lots of food. He looks as if he'd rather go over to the sofa and investigate, but luckily, he decides to follow my order. I slowly walk to one of the armchairs, pretending to be slow for a good reason, not because I'm about to keel over. Still, when I hit the fluffy cushions, I can't help but sigh in relief. Griffin is examining the girl, expertly checking her vitals. He lifts her shirt a little, exposing ribs that protrude more than they should. She's not just thin, she's extremely malnourished. It was hidden underneath her clothes before, but I'm starting to get worried about her, and angry at whoever neglected her. She's fast asleep now. Lucky her. Once she wakes up, we need to get some food in her. Griffin says, stating the obvious. Even I would have known that, and I'm much better with killing than with healing. Benjamin returns and hands me a large mug of tea. Heaven in a cup. I start drinking immediately, burning my gums, but I don't care. Maybe this will give me some of the energy I sorely lack. When he gives me a plate full of ham sandwiches, I fall in love with him. You're my hero, I mutter, my mouth already full of food. I thought I was your hero. Griffin quips. He's sat down at the end of the sofa the little girl is lying on and is slowly sipping some tea. He's all in black, as always, but the way he holds his cup makes him look like an aristocrat, rather than a thug. I wonder what kind of upbringing he had. Something posh? Is he some kind of wealthy rebel? Someone who does this because he enjoys it rather than because he has to? Not that I don't enjoy it, but I never had much of a choice. I was trained to be a killer, My education wasn't history, politics, grammar. We were taught to read and write, but that was about it. Our other lessons were about how the human body worked, how it could be hurt, how poisons would impact organs and flesh. Lockpicking rather than maths, breaking and entering instead of physics. How did you find us? How did you know that we might need you? I ask, instead of all the other questions I need answers to. They can wait. For now. Griffin points at the little cat lying at his feet. She looks like a hairball another cat has thrown up. More fluff than cat. Her fur would probably be white if she wasn't covered in dirt. For all my love of cats, I couldn't call her pretty. Unique, maybe. That's as far as I can go. This little furball came to find me. I assume Ryker sent her? The larger cat nods in confirmation. Benjamin has given him a bowl of water, and I bet there will be some treats coming soon. That boy has fallen in love with the cats, and has become an expert at spoiling them. I bet he knows every single cat's favorite treat. I didn't have any other plans, so I followed her. But I think you have some explaining to do. Who is she? Why are you saying she's your sister? I mean, the similarity is obvious, but it seems like you didn't know about her. How's that even possible? I groan. Too many questions. She's my mother's daughter, because yes, my mother is alive even though I thought she was dead. No idea who her father is. Her scent is similar to mine, which is why the cats thought they were tracking my mother, rather than her. She's not spoken a single word, so we have no idea what's happened to her or where she's come from. Basically, we don't know anything. Lennox is trying to find a key to open her collar. Maybe that will enable her to speak to us. Until then, a wave of dizziness overcomes me, and I close my eyes for a second. Are you all right? His voice contains a surprising amount of concern. I force my eyes open to look at him. I'm fine, just a bit tired. She lost a lot of blood. Bethany blurts. I could kill her. Gat, you should lie down and get some rest. You look like you're about to faint. Is it that obvious? I'm fine. Pumpkin and the other kittens are still missing. This has cost us valuable time. Ryker gets up and rubs against my legs. I meet his bright blue eyes, as deep as the sea. I've never seen the ocean, but I imagine it to be like Riker's eyes, full of swirling shades of blue. Mysterious. Beautiful. He meows, conveying a strange mixture of worry and reassurance. Yes, I know your cats are still out there looking for my mother's scent, but I might be able to find her faster if I was able to shift. She's my mother. She's my responsibility. He meows again, more forcefully this time. Don't worry, I'm not stupid enough to shift anytime soon. I didn't enjoy being suffocated by you. Griffin lifts a questioning eyebrow, and I realize that it must have sounded strange without context. I don't waste energy on explaining it, though. My thoughts are turning sluggish. I really need to get some sleep, but no, I can't afford to waste any more time. Who knows what's happening to Pumpkin just now? I hadn't realized how attached I'd become to the little kitten, but now that he's gone, I want to do anything I can to get him back. We should go and... Darkness overwhelms me before I can even finish my sentence. I don't know how long I sleep. It's not enough, though. When I wake up, I'm still tired. Not quite as exhausted, but still not as awake as I'd like to be. I'm still in the armchair in the living room. Someone's put a blanket over my legs. Seriously? Do they think I'm an old woman who needs a blanket? I need to teach them that I'm not weak, not in the slightest. Things are getting out of control, and I can't afford to lose my reputation. The little girl is still asleep, but there are crumbs on her shirt now. She must have eaten something while I slept. Good. Everyone else has left, so I let myself yawn and stretch for a while before getting up from the armchair. I half expect the world to sway again, but besides a slight weakness in my knees, I'm feeling much better. I listen to the sounds of the house. Someone's downstairs in the lab, rummaging in cupboards. I concentrate on the scent. Bethany. I can't sense Benjamin anywhere, but Griffin is in the kitchen. What is he still doing here? His scent is mixed with that of salty broth. Is he making soup? Now that's something I have to see. Slowly, I walk to the kitchen. I might be able to walk faster now, but I want to conserve my energy as much as possible. This feels like a moment of peace before the storm. I better enjoy it while it lasts. You're up, Griffin says without turning around. Stating the obvious, what are you doing? Making soup. The girl had trouble eating solid food, so I thought this might be better for her. He continues stirring the broth without looking at me. My mouth is starting to water. It smells delicious. I walk over to his side and take a spoon from a drawer. I need to test it for poison, I tell him, and dip my spoon into the soup. He chuckles. Obviously. The soup doesn't just smell delicious, it also tastes amazing. What did you put in there? I ask. Some kind of miracle spices? Griffin laughs. Exactly. Secret ingredients like carrots, parsley, and parsnips, which are so secret that they're hidden in plain sight, without actually being hidden. He points at the carrot peels to his left. Yeah, right. As if. Carrots don't taste this good. At least not when I try to cook them. And parsnips? They're just white, ugly carrots. Definitely not as divine tasting as whatever he's put in his soup. Give it another 10 minutes to stew, then you'll get a whole bowl full. He promises. The others told me what happened to you. The fluids will be good for you. Losing that amount of blood isn't to be taken lightly, even as a shifter. I scoff. So you're a doctor now? In a way. Wait, you're a doctor? I never finished my exams, but I'd studied long enough to know the basics. But even a blind person could see that you're not at your full strength just now. You need to rest. I don't have time to rest. Besides, you don't look like a doctor. He turns to me and frowns. Because of my scars. I don't care about your scars. Because you wear tight black clothes that hide more weapons than even I carry, because you move like a predator about to pounce at his prey, because your eyes show how many people you've killed. Doctors save lives. They don't take them. He smiles sadly. Sometimes you have to take a life to save another. Just because I kill bad people doesn't mean that I don't care about the well-being of the good. The world isn't black and white. You can't divide people into good and bad. Isn't that what you do when you kill? I shake my head. I don't distinguish. If I get paid, I do the job. I don't care whether the person I terminate has done amazing things for society or killed a dozen people. Well, I might be a little more violent if it's the latter, but I still kill for money. That's what I am, an assassin, not a vigilante. His frown deepens. I don't believe that. Then don't. I laugh harshly. People keep thinking that I'm a good person because I'm a woman, because I'm young, because I don't look like they imagine a villain to look. But inside, I'm cold. I'm a weapon, Griffin. And just because I occasionally seem to show some semblance of humanity doesn't mean that it's real. If you really believe that, you're lying to yourself. I've seen you save those kids. I've seen how you care for the cats that frequent this house. And earlier, when you looked at the little girl, there was something beautiful in your eyes. And what was that? Love. I laugh. but there's no humor in the sound. I don't love. Just ask Linux. The last sentence slips out before I can stop myself. He smiles at me, not reacting to that statement. Ever thought about therapy? I gape at him. Are you for real? Did whoever claw your face mess with your brain? Now you're getting defensive. Is that what you do? Push people away as soon as they get close? You're not close. You're nowhere near close. And you'll never be. I storm out of the kitchen. I lied. He got close. Not to me, but to the truth. I hate him for it. Chapter 12. Take my blood. Huh? Bethany looks at me in confusion. Check it for infections. I should be back to normal by now. I'm a shifter. I heal fast. I think there might be something wrong with me. Maybe some kind of virus. You do know that I have no idea about what kind of bugs cats might get? I sigh. Just check for increased white blood cell count. That should at least give us an idea on whether there's an infection. She nods and gets her equipment. She's somehow turned into our lab person, even though that's not what she excels at. Lily used to spend a lot more time down here, experimenting with poisons, but then she started taking on more cases that involved her using her skills of seduction. So, Bethany took over a lot of Lily's tasks. She's good at it, though. She immediately finds my vein and starts taking my blood until she's got 2 vials filled. If you want, I can compare it to the blood I took from the cat's claws, Beth says quietly. I know we all think that it's that of your mother, but shall I make sure it really is? Do it. All right, it won't take long. I'll let you know as soon as I have a result. Until then, you could spend time with Sexy Griffin. I snort. Did you just call him sexy? Bethany shrugs and wiggles her eyebrows. Have you looked at him? Those scars only make him look even more like a hot bad boy. Unless you and Lennox are exclusive. Okay, I'm leaving now. I won't be having girly conversations. She laughs. Oh, wait, you still got the cannula stuck in your arm. Oh, so I have. I let her remove it, but ignore the band-aid she tries to hand me. I don't need something as human as that. The wound will seal itself in a couple of seconds. You know where I am, if you ever want the girls' talk, Beth says with a giggle. I'd love to find out more about your love life. I don't have a love life. I growl. Why the fuck is everyone using the L word today? Everyone? Did Griffin confess his undying love for you? His undying... for fuck's sake, stop it. I storm out of the room, slamming the door shut for dramatic effect. Why is everyone acting weird today? Is it a full moon yet? Some kind of hormone fluctuation? Since all the adults in this house are being strange, I decide to check on the girl again. She's awake, but staring blankly at the ceiling, not reacting to me entering the room at all. Not even her heartbeat increases. It's like all her senses are turned off, standby mode. I kneel in front of the sofa and simply watch her for a bit. The longer I look at her, the more striking the similarities between us become. I have no idea if I take after my mother or my father, since I can't remember what either of them looked like, but now that I see my sister, it must be my mother who gave us our look. I wonder who the girl's father is. Is he still alive? Is my mother in love with him? Married to him? In effect, that would make him my stepfather. No thanks. I don't need a family. Yesterday morning, I was all on my own. Now, I have a sister and a mother that's turned out to be alive. Life is moving a little too fast for me. Sit up, I command, and the girl does it immediately. Her back is straight as a board, and while she looks in my direction, she doesn't look at me. Her eyes are blank. "Can you write?" I ask, hopeful that this might be a solution to her not being able to speak. She shakes her head. There goes that idea. "All right. I'm going to ask you some yes and no questions, and I want you to answer them truthfully. Do you understand?" She nods. I feel bad for how harsh I'm being, how I'm ordering her around, but this seems to be the only way to get her to react. "Are you part of the pack?" She nods, and my heart sinks. I mean, the collar made it kind of obvious, but because it looked different than my own one had, I still had a flicker of hope that she might have been under the control of someone else. Like my mother. Just one person, easy to deal with. Not the entire pack. "Will they be searching for you?" She shrugs. At least it's not an outright yes. "Have they hurt you?" There's the tiniest of pauses before she nods. A cold shiver runs down my back. She's not even able to cry. Not able to ask for help. She's forced to accept her plight. I need to kill something. Soon. The anger in me is spreading, and I know that if I don't get it under control, my panther will want to take over, which would probably kill me, and I'm far too selfish to let it do that. "Do you know who she is?" Bethany steps into the room, asking the question without giving me any explanation. "Do you know who the woman in front of you is?" The girl nods. "That's what I thought. Kat, we need to talk. Now." I stare at her in confusion, but then follow her out of the room and into the hallway. "Ben!" Bethany shouts. "Come down and watch over the girl for a bit." She turns to me and lowers her voice. "We can't leave her alone in there. I don't know why she's here, but I doubt it's because she wants a family reunion." "We brought her here," I protest. She had no choice in the matter. "Didn't she? When we found her, did she try to run? Did she seem like she didn't want to go with us, strangers?" "No, but she's wearing a collar. She doesn't have the capacity to express her own opinion. She probably doesn't even know where she is." "I wish I could believe that," Bethany mutters and slowly walks into the dining room. I follow her, not quite sure what she's on about. I wait while she pours us 2 cups of tea. It's only lukewarm, but I think she needs this moment to collect her thoughts, to decide how to break her news to me. I take 1 sip of tea and then decide that I don't want any more of it. I hate cold tea. "While you were asleep, I took a blood sample from her." Bethany starts, her voice quiet. "Not because I wanted to know whether she really was your sister, but because I wanted to do a health check on it, see what kind of nutrients she's missing the most, so that we could help her get back to full strength quickly. Well, when you came down and gave me some of your own blood, I thought I'd compare it, just for fun, I guess. Maybe it was intuition, I don't know." "What did you find?" I interrupt her. "What's so special about her blood?" Bethany takes a deep breath. "It's like yours." "Of course it's like mine. We have the same mother." "No, you don't get it. It's exactly like yours. Your DNA is identical, not just similar like it should be for siblings. Identical. Do you understand what that means? She's not your sister, Kat. She's your clone." I drink that cold tea after all. And then Bethany makes us a new pot of tea. I feel more like drowning an entire bottle of whiskey, but I need my mind clear to think. At some point, Bethany leaves and returns with Griffin. I can sense Benjamin in the living room together with the girl. The child who I thought was my sister. Even though I only met her earlier today, I feel it almost as a loss. I no longer have a sister. It was just an illusion. Instead, she's a construct, a copy of me, created for reasons that I haven't figured out yet. Bethany, I say when a rogue thought enters my mind. Did you compare my mother's blood with mine yet? She shakes her head. The girl's sample was already in the machine, so I did hers first. We analyzed your mother's DNA, but haven't matched it with your own yet. Then do it now. Compare the blood sample we got from the crime scene with that of the girl and my own. Griffin sucks in a sharp breath. You think we got it wrong? I nod grimly. I think we have. What are you saying? Bethany asks with a frown. I'm not getting it. She thinks that her mother may never have been there at all. Griffin explains. I gladly let him do the talking. My mind is far too chaotic right now to form coherent sentences. We assumed it was her mother because it was the scent of a jaguar shifter, and very similar to that of Cat. She thought she remembered it was that of her mother. But what if we got it all wrong? What if it was the clone who killed the cats? Bethany gasps. I don't believe that. I mean, look at her. She's tiny, she's vulnerable, she's young. She wouldn't be able to kill 2 grown cats, let alone kidnap 6 kittens. She's a shifter, I say quietly. She may look like a little girl, but she is much stronger than you think. At her age, the pack taught me to kill. If she's been with them since birth, who knows how well they've trained her already. But you said you smelled your mother's scent. Bethany insists. I thought that it was hers. Now, I'm not so sure. The girl doesn't have exactly the same scent as I do, but it's very similar. It's been a long time since I last saw my mother. My memory could have deceived me. It was the most logical conclusion at the time. But now that we know that she's not really my sister, it's all starting to make sense. Let's say it was her, Griffin says, running his hands over his stubbly beard. Then why would she kidnap kittens? What's the point? What would the pack want with a bunch of baby cats? I shrug. Your guess is as good as mine. The pack has many layers. Who knows what they're planning? I was their only cat shifter, and some of their researchers were fascinated with me. Luckily, I was one of the best at my job, so they didn't get to prod and examine me as much as they wanted to. Maybe that's why they created a clone, to have the time and opportunity to study another cat shifter. They've seen you in action. They know what you can do, but they haven't been able to tame you. Otherwise, we wouldn't all be in this room just now. I grimace. They certainly tried to tame me, but you're right. They never controlled me like they did the others. I think some of them preferred that, because I was able to change strategy if something went wrong during a job. The others would just follow the commands of their leaders, unable or unwilling to use their own brains. So now they've created a miniature you, he says thoughtfully. They've got her under complete control. Maybe that collar was custom-made for her, based on whatever observations they did on you. But if they liked you because you were able to think for yourself, then why completely subdue her? That's why I have Benjamin watching her, Bethany says quickly. I don't think that she's as harmless as she seems. She might have orders to wait and act at the perfect moment, or maybe she was sent to infiltrate us. The pack knows about us, knows about you, Cat. Harming some local cats would have been the perfect way to draw you out. I scoff. If they wanted me to face them, they could have sent me a message. Half the criminals in this town have my business card by now. That's exactly what they don't want. Griffin mutters. They didn't want you to know. They probably hoped that you'd jump at the most plausible conclusion, that the girl is your sister, or maybe a cousin. They wouldn't have expected us to immediately figure out that she's a clone. I was the one who figured it out, Bethany interjects. Don't forget that, and be sure to tell Lily when she returns that I'm the queen of the lab now. She can assist me occasionally, if she asks nicely. I can't suppress an amused snort. You can let her know yourself. I won't get in between the two of you. Do that catfight on your own." "Nice pun," Griffin says, but he's not smiling. "But what do we do now? The girl has seen where you live. She's seen Lennox, Bethany, Benjamin, and me. She can tell them that you don't work alone. She might look like she's a zombie, but I bet she's taken in every detail around her, ready to tell her masters everything." I swallow hard, trying to get this image he's painting in line with the little girl that carries my genes. She doesn't look like a spy, but he's right. That's exactly the point. Who would suspect a child, one looking so thin and helpless at that? The pack will have realized during the Kindler case that I seem to have a soft spot for children. Even though it was the Fangs who'd organized the whole thing, the pack were involved. I'm convinced of that. We may have killed all the Fang contacts we found in town, but I bet there are others lurking in the shadows. Lennox is trying to get the key to open her collar. If we manage to remove it, we might be able to have a proper conversation with her. Or at least find out if she's just following orders, or if they've brainwashed her to really be a threat to us. Right now, we don't have the full picture. For now, we keep an eye on her and don't let her leave the living room. I don't want her to see the rest of the house, if she is indeed sent as a spy. Griffin nods. "Let's hope your wolf will find a key. Are there any other ways to open a collar? I know a welder who might be able to cut it open." "No, that would kill her," I say, remembering the pain every attempt to get the collar off resulted in. The collar is programmed to torture its wearer until it's opened with the correct key. Trust me, we tried everything to get rid of them. Bethany shudders. "Have I ever told you that I'm grateful not to be a shifter? I might not get all fluffy and cute like you do, but at least nobody is trying to enslave me." "Fluffy? Cute?" I give her a playful growl. "You're talking to a predator, not a pussycat. And that's exactly why I'm worried," Griffin says, not cracking a smile. "That girl is a predator. She may look cute, but until we know her intentions, we have to treat her like an enemy." Everything inside of me fights against the idea of the girl, my clone, being a threat. But I know he's right. His logic is sound. All right, I'm going back in there to see if I can get any more information out of her. She seems to be programmed to follow any command given to her. So, I hope all her answers are truthful. Unless that's what they want you to think. Griffin interjects. Bethany rolls her eyes. "Has anyone ever told you that you're very pessimistic?" "Cautious," he corrects. "There's a difference. If you'd experienced what I have, you'd be the same." "Want to expand on that?" "No." His expression immediately hardens. Damn that man. He wants us to trust him, but he doesn't tell us anything about himself. At least we know now that he's got some medical knowledge. That might come in handy. "Guys!" We exchange a look, then follow Benjamin's shout into the living room. He's lying on the ground, the girl on his chest, a knife pressed against his throat. Where the fuck did she get a knife from? I'm sure Griffin would have found it when he examined her. She must have taken it from somewhere in the room while nobody was watching. Damn. "Let him go," I command, but she doesn't even look at me. So much for her having to follow orders. Not ours, obviously. Slowly, very slowly, I reach for the bundle of poisoned arrows attached to the inside of my belt. The deadly ones are on the right, but I take one that will only put her to sleep. I have no intentions of killing her. She holds too many answers for that. And besides, I'm starting to accept that I have a soft spot for kids. "Put down the knife," I say as firmly as I can. Last chance. She doesn't react. The blade is pressed hard against Benjamin's neck. It would only need a bit more pressure to break into his skin. I need to be careful about this. I don't want to lose my thief. There's no way back from a cut throat. A stabbing wound somewhere else, yes, maybe, but not with his aorta cut and his windpipe injured. My sleep darts take about a second to take effect. That would be long enough for her to act, so I need to distract her somehow. I reach for my panther, ignoring the pain. I'm not going to shift. I'm not suicidal, but I connect with her enough to let out a loud meow. Not a threatening sound, more of a greeting. The girl whirls around, looking at me in surprise, giving me the opening to throw my dart. It hits her in the neck, just where I intended. Her eyes widen, and for a second, I can see the girl behind the collar, frightened and angry. Then the poison starts to act, and she collapses on top of Benjamin. "Oh, thanks," he groans and rolls her off him. "Next time, warn me if I'm guarding a psychopath. I was trying to get her to play with me, and suddenly she's holding a knife to my throat. Crazy." He rubs his neck. There's a tiny cut, but it's negligible. I pick up the knife, examining it closely. It's one of mine. One of several that are stashed all around the house. I thought they were hidden well, but apparently this girl was able to find one with ease. I get on my knees by her side and search her for weapons. There's another knife down her sleeve, but this one isn't mine. I show it to the others. "Does this belong to one of you?" Griffin's eyes widen, and he snatches it from my hand. "She must have taken it while I was carrying her here. Guess that proves that she's been playing us." "We've been fools." Bethany sighs. "What are we going to do now?" I look down at the little girl, who seems to be sleeping peacefully. The poison will keep her asleep for at least 2 hours, unless I give her the antidote. Hopefully, Lennox will return by then. Otherwise, I'll have to drug her again. Having her conscious is too much of a risk. Now, we come up with a plan. Chapter 13. Ryker returns, but Lennox doesn't. I'm going to give him another hour, and if he's not back by then, I'm going to figure out how to contact the daughter of my mysterious benefactor. I somehow doubt that she knows about the key, or what it looks like, but it's our only other way to get the collar off the girl. Unless we break into the pack headquarters and steal one from there. Unlikely. I'm not going anywhere near the pack until I know what they're after. I have no idea about cloning, but I assume that the girl was born as a baby, not somehow created as a child, which would mean that they started planning this many years ago, while I was still part of the pack. That makes it even more frightening. There are so many variables that we don't know. She might be tasked with drawing me out just now, but that's not what she was created for. Did she take those kittens simply to get my attention, or is there another reason? What would anyone use kittens for? It's not like cats taste particularly good. They're not like dogs either, who often suffer from Stockholm Syndrome. No, cats don't forget if they were mistreated. These kittens will never willingly stay with their captors. They will always try to get back home. Especially Pumpkin, who knows his father will be out there, looking for him. My heart aches when I think of the kitten. He's full of spunk and courage, but he's still only a child. Ryker gives the tied-up girl a questioning look, rubbing against her thigh. "She's not as innocent as she looks," I say with a sigh and explain what happened. When I get to the part of us thinking that it might have been the girl who killed Mila and Haru, he hisses and jumps away from her. He looks at me, his eyes full of pain. "I'm sorry," I mutter. I know it was easier to think that it was my mother, an adult gone crazy, blinded with grief, whatever. Now we're stuck with a 5-year-old child who may have killed cats and kidnapped kittens, who was sent here to spy on me. It's hard to swallow. He meows questioningly, and I think I understand what he's asking. Keep your cats looking for her scent. Maybe that will give us some indication on where she's been or what she's done. If we're lucky, she didn't bring the kittens to the pack headquarters, but hid them somewhere. He nods and runs out of the room, I assume to talk to his family and give them new instructions. Wait, Ryker? A meow, then he's back. Do you have someone following Linux? He nods, giving me a glare that tells me that I'm asking stupid questions. Again. We need him to hurry up. Have your cats show him that it's urgent. Maybe some scratches and a bite or two. Bethany chuckles. Are you asking him to have your boyfriend tortured? He's not my boyfriend. I growl. And if you insinuate that one more time, I'm going to get every cat in this town to harass you. She mutters something under her breath, too quiet for even me to hear. I don't think it's a compliment, but I ignore her. Ryker leaves, and this time, I let him. Now it's just the Meow team left. Benjamin, Bethany, and me. I kind of miss Lily. She's missing out on a lot. I doubt her succubus festival is as exciting as what's happening here. Probably a lot less deadly, too. I watch the girl as her chest gently lifts with every breath. She's sleeping peacefully, and seems more relaxed than when we got her here. Must be the poison's effect. Once again, I'm struck by how similar she is to me. I wonder what her name is. Did they call her Catriona II? Did they even give her a proper name, or does she have a number? Even though she threatened to kill Benjamin, I still feel for her. I know what wearing a collar felt like, even though it never controlled me as much as it did everyone else. It dampens your emotions, makes it harder to think. When someone tells you to do something, it feels as if there's no other way but to do it. Benjamin enters the room, covered in cat hair. The kittens are fine, he says with a sheepish smile. I hope this is him apologizing for shouting at me. When I told him who the girl is, he got a little upset that I brought a kitten thief into our headquarters, a house that is currently home to 7 kittens. I mean, he's got a point, but that's irrelevant. It's not like we could have left her all alone in that shed, and we didn't know she was the cat killer until later anyway. A sound outside makes me sit up straight, but I relax a little when his scent hits my nose. Lennox. Finally. I jump off the sofa and go to meet him. Did you get the key? I shout before he's even entered the house. He steps through the door and triumphantly waves a small object in his hand. Relief floods me. Finally, something good is happening. Now, we just need to hope that the key works on this new kind of collar. Lennox looks worried after I've explained what's happened. Do you think there are more clones? I've not thought of that, I admit. There could be, for all I know. Until we know why they made her, we need to assume anything and everything. Imagine 100 little cats. He mutters. Not sure if that's fun or the stuff of nightmares. For me, nightmares. I like there being just one of me. He avoids my eyes. I know. You like being on your own. I don't deign him with a reply. At some point, we might have to talk about what happened. But for now, I'm very happy ignoring it. We have more important things to deal with anyway. Shall we wake her up first, or do it with her asleep? He asks, handing me the key. It doesn't look what I imagined at all. No key as such, but a smooth palm-sized stone with strange markings engraved in it. I'm not sure what it's made from, but it doesn't look like any mineral I know of. It's cold to the touch, and heavier than it should be. Let's do it while she's asleep, I say, remembering how irritating it can be when a collar is removed. When they did it to us as children, they chained us to a chair, making sure that we couldn't move at all. Back when Mystery Man removed my collar, it was only because he somehow knew how to make me focus that I didn't go crazy. Good idea. I went feral for a long time. Lennox mutters, his expression pained. And we don't know what she's like without a collar. Exactly. She could be a trained killing machine without a conscience. I'm not quite believing that, though. Not after I saw her eyes just before she fell unconscious. There was life in there. Hope. How do I do this? I ask, kneeling by the girl's side. I barely remember how my own collar was removed. Hold the key in one hand and try and open the clasp at the back of the collar with your other. Lennox instructs. I think that's all you need to do. Everyone, get ready. Who knows what will happen when the collar gets removed? Griffin lazily swirls a knife in his hand, looking seemingly relaxed, but the underlying tension in his body shows that he's ready to attack. Bethany and Benjamin stand behind him. Neither of them are experts at fighting in hand-to-hand combat. Beth much prefers to do her killing with poisons, and Benjamin isn't much of an assassin at all. But the more of us, the better, even if it's just for blocking the door so she can't escape. Ryker is by my side, so close that his fur touches my legs. If he was human, I'd have pushed him away long ago. But as a cat, he has certain privileges. Let's hope this works. I mutter and reach out to touch the collar. It's cold, colder than the stone that I'm clutching in my other hand. The girl's skin is red and chafed where the collar sits, but I doubt she even feels it in that strange zombie state she's in. I fumble for the clutch that keeps the collar in place. When I touch it, a jolt of electricity runs through it from the collar right into the hand that's holding the key. The clutch is smaller than the one on my own collar used to be, but even so, it's easy enough to open with one hand. With a clicking sound, the collar jumps open and slides off the girl's neck. I gently pull it off her, waiting to see how she'll react. She's still sleeping, and her arms and legs are tied, but that doesn't mean that something won't happen. Slowly, I step back, not taking my eyes off her. Her eyes are closed, but her heart rate is increasing. She's waking up. Get ready, I say quietly, even though I know that the others are well prepared. The girl's breathing grows faster, too fast. Suddenly, her eyes rip open, her pupils dark, almost black. She gasps for air, clutches her throat. Is she suffocating? Without warning, she shifts, faster than I've ever seen anyone shift. 1 second, she's a girl. Next second, she's a Black Panther. A lot smaller than when I shift, but still at least twice as large as Ryker. He extends his claws, ready for a confrontation. The ropes lie curled up on the floor, no longer holding her back. She growls, looks around with those dark eyes of hers, but she doesn't attack. The tension of her is evident, though, and I doubt it will take much to set her off. She's confused, disoriented, but not aggressive. We need to keep it that way. Slowly, very slowly, I crouch down, making myself less threatening. I lift my arms, hoping that even as a shifter, she still has a basic understanding of human gestures. We're not here to hurt you, I tell her quietly, but determinedly. While I don't want her to think we're a threat, we can't seem like prey either. Her head whips from side to side as she takes all of us in. I hope Griffin is no longer playing with his knives, but I don't dare turn around to check. She seems unsure, as if she can't decide whether we're her enemies or not. I wish I could shift. It would make things so much easier. She's in cat mode just now, and I doubt she'll be able to shift back and talk to us properly. Ryker meows softly and slowly steps forward, his tail touching my leg. In a strange urge to protect him, I almost reach down to keep him back, but I resist that need. He's an adult. He knows what he's doing. The intention of his meows is so strong that I bet the others can understand him too. He's telling the girl that we're no threat, that we want to help, that we want to keep her safe. He promises her our protection, maybe even our friendship. She cocks her head to one side. Does she understand what he's saying? I've always been able to understand cats when I'm shifted, but who knows if that's the same for her? She's a clone. It could be different. Finally, after Ryker repeats it all several times, she relaxes a little. Not enough yet to make me think that she'll be easy to deal with, but enough to slightly ease the tension in my limbs. To my surprise, Ryker holds out a paw to the girl. She stares at it. I really hope she doesn't think he's offering her to bite him. Or eat his paw. Who knows what she's been raised like? Slowly, she raises her own paw, much bigger than Ryker's, and nudges his, like a cat handshake. Strange. I'm not sure what Ryker is trying to achieve with this, but it seems to be working. She looks at their paws, different in size, but similar in looks. His fur isn't quite as black and silky as hers, but it's close enough. I think he's showing her that he's the same. If she's my only clone, that means she's probably never met another cat shifter before. Ryker meows, and this time, she replies. Her voice is soft and high-pitched, but beautiful. Not quite my own, I think, but who knows what my voice sounds like outside my head. What are they saying? Griffin whispers, not realizing that I don't have a clue. I don't respond. Back and forth they meow until the little panther bows her head. Wow, I didn't expect her to show respect for Ryker. After all, she's been sent by the pack. Not exactly my friends. Ryker steps back until he's rubbing against my legs once again. Now that I know he's a shifter and not just a cute cat, that gesture has more meaning than I would like. He's basically a man with lots of fur and claws. Well, not a man, but a male. Men don't just rub against women unless they want something, or are in a relationship. Without warning, the girl shifts from panther back to human. How can she do it that fast? The change is almost instant, without the pain I usually have to suffer through. Maybe I shifted that fast when I was a child, before I was with the pack? I can't remember, and I wasn't allowed to shift until I was a teenager, and when I did, they immediately put a collar on my panther. From the way she looks at her world with wonder and surprise, I bet this is the first time she's ever been without a collar. She stares right at me, my own eyes being reflected back at me.
Hello, cat.
Chapter 14. She knows my name. Not that it should surprise me, but it's kind of creepy to see my younger self say my name. Hello. What shall I call you? She frowns at me.
Cat, of course. That's my name.
No, that's my name. I protest. We can't have the same one. Her frown deepens in genuine confusion.
Why not?
Because I don't want to set her off or make her think that we're not on her side, so I need to be careful with what I say. Diplomacy, Cat, it's a virtue, one that I really don't possess. Because it will get confusing for my friends, I say, quickly making up an excuse. 2 cats in one room might be too hard for them. Griffin chuckles. Some of them aren't very bright, I add, and his chuckles stop.
Then we can call you Catriona.
She shrugs.
I've never much liked that name.
Okay, she's evil, and so like me. I've always preferred Cat, too. Not quite happy with the name my parents gave me. Catriona, I'll make us some tea, Bethany announces with glee. Kat, would you like tea or maybe some hot chocolate? The girl looks confused.
Chocolate melts when it gets hot. Why would I want that? It gets sticky.
Bethany gasps theatrically. You've never had hot chocolate? I shall make you one. You're going to love it. She disappears from the room. She's been very friendly to my clone, as if she's forgotten that this child has killed 2 cats and kidnapped a bunch of kittens. It probably wasn't her choice, but I think we need to be cautious. I don't want to trust her, because I know how deceiving I can be. Let's sit down, I suggest, and point at the sofa closest to her. Are you hungry? Griffin fed her some broth earlier, but children at this age can be ravenous, especially after a shift. She nods, and I turn to the assassin. Can you get her some more soup? There should be some bread in the cupboard above the fridge. I sit down and wait for Cat Copy to do the same. She sits at the edge of the sofa, tense and wary of the rest of us. Maybe we need to clear the room a little. Benjamin, can you check on your latest project? I ask him, wiggling my eyebrows to convey the hidden message without alerting the child. Maybe Ryker wants to come with you? And Lennox, wasn't there something you wanted to do? They follow my hint and leave us alone. Now it's just me and the girl. I can sense the others close by. I'd hoped that Benjamin would show Ryker his kittens, giving me peace of mind that the boy is coping with looking after them, but they stay in the room next door together with Lennox. I know this must be strange for you. I start, giving her a smile. I remember how it was the first time my collar was taken off. She frowns at me.
This isn't my first time.
Alarm bells start to ring in my head, but I push them away. No?
They make me shift all the time. Grandma Doctor says that it's good for my body to shift as often as possible.
Grandma Doctor?
You don't know her?
Now she's starting to look at me as if I'm stupid.
She said she raised you, just like me. She told me all about you.
Okay, now I'm officially confused. I wasn't raised by anyone. There wasn't one person responsible for us at the pack, especially not someone we'd ever dare call Grandma. We had trainers, teachers, masters, but none of them ever took a particular interest in me. There were some doctors and researchers who studied me, trying to figure out how I was different from the wolves, but I don't think any of them was a woman. What did she tell you about me? I ask cautiously.
That you're a rebel.
She answers immediately.
That you're planning to destroy us all because you're jealous of our family. You're angry that they expelled you, so now you want to seek revenge.
For her age, she's using some pretty big words. It sounds like she's regurgitating what this Grandma Doctor told her.
She said you'd be very alone and sad.
The girl continues.
And that by bringing you home, I can help you be happy again.
I smile again, trying to put as much happiness into it as possible, even though it's hard to smile at all the stuff she's saying. It's disturbing. I'm happy already, I tell her. I have my own family here, and I wasn't expelled. I left because I no longer wanted to stay with the pack. She's quiet for a moment.
The other cat, is he your family?
Ryker? Yes, I think he is.
How can you not know?
I sigh. I only met him a short while ago, but he's become an important part of my life, so yes, he's family, as are all the other people you saw here. Bethany enters with a large tray, and I point at her. That's Bethany. She's been living with me for a few months now. She's great at cooking. You'll see when you try her hot chocolate. You can call me Beth. She smiles as she hands Minnie Cat a mug. She's topped the cocoa with a massive hood of whipped cream, clearly trying to get some meat on the girl's bone. Also, Beth? It took 4 months before she told me I could call her by her nickname, and now she's offering it to the clone. No, I'm not jealous. I don't really care, but it's not fair. A cat sticks out her tongue and carefully licks the cream. Her eyes widen slightly when she tastes it. Good? I ask, wishing Bethany had given me some hot chocolate too, rather than the mug of tea she's now handing me. The girl doesn't respond. Instead, she greedily starts slurping the cocoa. If copious amounts of hot chocolate can get her on our side, then so be it. I'm not beyond bribery, on the contrary. It's a great method to get what I want. Griffin joins us and puts several bowls full of soup on the living room table. He probably assumed that everyone else was still here. Do you want me to leave? He whispers while Kat is occupied with her drink. I nod, and he quietly moves away, leaving me stuck with his scent in my nose. I really need to figure out what he is. It's driving me crazy. There's something not human in his scent, but not strong enough to identify. It's the same with Lily, although I always thought it was her multiple layers of perfume that changed her scent. Now that I know about her succubus nature, it makes a lot more sense. Succubi are closer to humans than shifters, so her scent is very similar, with just a touch of extra spice. If she hadn't told me that there are no incubi, I would have almost thought that Griffin is one of them. He's certainly got the looks, even with the scars across his face. It would also explain the feeling I get in the pit of my stomach every time he's close to me.
Could I have more, please?
Kat asks sweetly, smiling at Bethany. The two of them seem to be quickly turning into friends. Unless this is all an act and my clone is scheming to deceive us for now, only to turn on us at the perfect moment. I don't know what to think of her. She's a child, she looks innocent and cute, but she's been raised by the pack, which means there can't be much innocence left in her. The smile she gives Beth seems genuine, though. I'll make you another mug, my friend promises and leaves for the kitchen. I'm alone again with my mirror image. Mini cat, clone cat, fake cat. I wish they'd at least given her a different name. This is too creepy. I swallow my discomfort and smile. Would you like some soup? The girl shakes her head.
I don't want to spoil a sweet taste with saltiness.
I chuckle. Very wise. You can have some soup later, if you change your mind. I tried some earlier. It's delicious. Remembering how yummy it was, I take a bowl and eat a spoonful, both because I'm hungry and because I want to seem relaxed. I still don't believe that this is nothing but carrot, parsnip, and parsley. There must be some kind of hidden ingredient.
They told me you were evil.
Kat says out of nowhere.
But you don't look evil.
I almost choke on my soup. That's because we look the same. Are you evil? She frowns, scrunching up her face as she thinks.
I don't think so.
Good. Then so neither am I.
But why would they say that?
She asks, genuinely confused. Poor thing. The fact that she's questioning it gives me hope, but I think we'll have a long way to go. They don't like me very much at the pack, I explain. I didn't always follow the rules.
I don't either.
She whispers, giving me a tiny smile.
But it's hard not to do what they say.
I nod. The collar, right?
The silver collar takes away me. But when I wear the yellow one, I can think.
Okay, she's breaking my heart. Switching her collars makes it even more terrible. She knows the difference, knows how they're erasing her free will when she wears the silver collar. She might be young, but she understands much more than she should at her age. I wonder if that's because she's a clone, or because of the way she's been brought up. Does the silver collar prevent you from speaking? I ask gently, and she nods,
It's like a dream. I sometimes see things, but I can't act. The collar takes over, and I'm stuck inside.
Do they make you wear the silver collar a lot? Again, she nods.
They say it's because I'm all grown up now. The yellow one is only for children.
I don't tell her that she's still a child. I doubt she'd believe me. She actually sounds proud of the fact that she gets to wear the silver collar rather than the bronze one, unaware that she's the only one who has such a collar. Unless the pack have completely changed in the past 7 months, but I doubt that. I sometimes see pack assassins from afar, their collars hidden under scarves or upturned collars, but sometimes the bronze, almost golden color shines through. I would have noticed if they'd switched to silver ones. Kat, I need to ask you something important. Do you remember going into a large factory yesterday? I don't think she could scrunch her little face up any more than she is now. She's trying very hard to remember. That much is obvious.
The smell. It was like the mug.
That's right. It's an old chocolate factory. It did still smell of cocoa, a tiny bit.
I remember the smell, but I don't know what happened. I think I saw a cat. Maybe.
I don't think she's lying. She must have been wearing the silver collar, which means that she wasn't in control. I let myself relax a little more. She didn't consciously murder the cats. Although, this also shows that she's capable of killing when she wears that collar. She'll be programmed to do any violence necessary, and she wouldn't be able to stop herself. Luckily, that collar is off now, and I'll be damned if I ever let anyone put it back on her. Even though she's my clone, and not my little sister, I'm starting to feel a little protective of her. Do you remember anything after that? I ask her. How you got to the shed we found you in? What happened to the cats?
Shed?
Ah, of course. She won't even know where we first saw her. I get up and go on my knees in front of her, now confident that I won't scare her and that she won't attack me. I think the collar made you take some kittens. I explain gently. Don't worry, we don't blame you. It wasn't you who did it. It was the collar. But those kittens are missing, and we need to find them. Can you remember anything that might help us? Anything after you smelled the chocolate?
I don't think so.
She says, looking at the floor. Bethany chooses the perfect moment to return. She carries another mug of hot chocolate. I get up and take it from her, ignoring her protest. I hold it in front of Kat, letting her breathe in the scent. Close your eyes. Remember the smell. Sweet, delicious chocolate. Can you remember it? To my surprise, she really closes her eyes and her expression relaxes. She's probably so used to following orders that she doesn't think twice about it.
It was dark,
She whispers before drawing in another deep breath. I hold the mug as close to her nose as I can without burning her. Yes, it was dark. I encourage her. Was there anyone else? Did you hear anything? She stays quiet for a moment, her deep breath the only sound. I appreciate that she's trying. I think she wants to please me, make us happy. I doubt she's ever been treated with kindness or been thanked. Once this is over, I'm going to make sure she gets chocolate every single day. And never wear a collar again, obviously. She doesn't say it as a human word. She makes the sound like a cat would. Suddenly, Ryker's in the room, running towards her with panic in his eyes. I know why. I recognized the voice. Pumpkin. She's echoing Pumpkin's words. Being human, I don't understand exactly what he's saying, but it's easy to hear the anguish in the sound. He's begging to be released, to be let free. He'd probably seen Mila and Haru slaughtered by the time he made that sound. He's scared, desperate. Ryker meows in return, but Cat doesn't respond. She keeps her eyes closed, is seemingly lost in the memory. Ryker looks at us, probably not sure what's going on. I put a finger on my lips, and he nods. When Cat stays quiet, I move the mug back and forth, making steam swirl up in lazy spirals. You saw Cat's, am I right? I ask quietly. I don't want to disturb her, but I also don't want her to get trapped in her own mind. I know how confusing it can be once you take off the collar. It's like a part of your personality is returned that you'd forgotten about.
Little cats.
She whispers.
She took them. They didn't want to leave me, but she needed them.
She? I ask, a little too sharply.
Grandma Doctor.
She opens her eyes wide, terror reflecting in their depths.
I remember.